This time around there's another Sony on today's video. It's been a while since I've done a vintage Sony CRT. I've done one or two modern ones maybe in recent times, but it's been a while since we've had a good vintage one to show. This is the Sony KV2900T. Approximate age is 1990. I haven't been able to find an exact date, but I do have a little bit of evidence off the internet to support that. The most striking feature about this TV, and it is a TV, is that it looks so much like one of Sony's own PVMs. It's very, very similar styling. We'll take the camera around so we can see this. So it's got that vintage about it of the PVMs of that time. So the black shelled and the front, just the styling looks so much like one. But when you go around the back, you even think so more. So it's 29 inches in size, hence the 2900 in the name for it. There's your power switch on the front, infrared remote control receiving spot, and you don't have the illuminated buttons like you do on the Sony PVM 2930QM, but you do have this panel that opens and you get your controls inside, channel up down, volume up down, and a few other things as such. Color system, you can go to NTSC or PAL or set it to auto. So close that. Now you can see just by the handles for starters that gives it a bit of a PVM look, and the speakers, the detachable speakers that it has no internal speakers inside. They simply just come off. You lift them up and take them off the thumb screws. If I can do this one-handed as such. Genuine Sony speaker. 8 ohms, made in Japan, 30 watts. There it is there. So you can set the speakers up where you like, and you can take those thumb screws out. You can see it's fairly squarish in shape. It's not quite, certainly not cube-like like the PVMs. You may not be able to sit this on its side, rotating it I mean. It's flat there, but whether it can do that with its weight, I don't know. But it's heavy like all Sonys are, very bloody heavy. And we'll go inside and we'll see why shortly. I think those handles are removable if you undo them from inside. There's the other speaker. You can swing them out as such. And then we'll get to the back again, very block-like here on the back. Sony Trinitron 2900T, made in Japan. Accepts 110 volts too. Surprising for back then. And down to the all-important connections. So there's the send-out terminals for your speaker wires, and there's an S-Video. Video 1 is composite or S-Video. S-Video takes priority there. Video 2, another composite input, and there's monitor out. And almost last but certainly not least is SCART. SCART Video 3 and the antenna. Yeah, so this is an Australian release model. It's one of those ones that came out back in the early 90s, late 80s. One of the members of the family from back then that we are very fortunate to have. Quite a little bundle of SCART models came through at that time, and this is one of them. This is the remote. It's like a bloody old calculator or something. It's quite wide, a very wide remote. So it's got all the functions you would expect. It also has a flip up cover there. It gets you to a few more controls, and it's working really well. Takes a couple of AA batteries. Anyhow, I'll take the shell off the back and we'll look inside. With the shell off, it reveals what we've got inside, and it's quite a big chassis, a big U-shaped chassis with a lot of boards. 3 boards there, vertical. Your bottom down there with who knows what, and another large board up here on the side, neck board. probably an amp down in that metal shielding down in the bottom there, so a lot of things going on inside here. You've got the metal shielding there, which adds to the weight of the whole thing. And speaking of metal, even the back shell's got, you know, a little strip of metal here as well. I really went to town in those days with these things, so that accounts largely for its weight there on the side. So as I said before, no speakers on the inside. There's your label. It might be the chassis model there, model number. The sticker for the tube is actually torn, but it is a Sony tube, undoubtedly, always, of course, and there's no doubt it'll be made in Japan. There are a few magnets on the back just to adjust the convergence of the picture of the beams. Just a couple there. So that's it pretty much in there. I know there's a couple other things. Of course, you've got your focus on the fly back there, but over here we've got our pots to adjust screen properties. It may or may not have a service menu. I don't think it does. I don't know for a fact, but probably doesn't, because you've got these pots here to do the adjustments. So you've got quite a number there, maybe 9 or 10, and there's quite a bit of vacant space on some of the PCBs. And if you look here, there's actually like vacant spots for more pots, which might give more screen controls. But you've still got a fair range there to work with anyway, and they're in a good location. They're not buried down in the bottom there where you can't really put your hand in. They're just right up here on the corner, and they're not too close to anything. There are a few components there that might get in the way, but if you do go adjusting these things, just be very careful to not touch anything that you shouldn't. If you're not confident in it, don't do it. So again, over here on the PCB, look, there's a lot of sparseness again. Really heaps. Now, I have another Sony TV which I haven't made a video of. I will one day, but I'd say it shares a very similar, if not the same chassis, but I don't remember it being so vacant in the spots on the boards. You know, I think it's a different model, so I'll have to have a look at that again one day and we'll do a video, but that's about it for the back. So let's turn it on and have a look how it goes. When I first turned the Sony on, it was rather dim, and I found the button on the TV itself that restores it to its default setting, and that boosted the brightness of the picture up quite a lot. But I was pleased with that result, because it makes me think that the previous owner watched TV with the contrast down quite a bit, and for 20 years or more of use, having the contrast on a low setting is going to extend the life of the TV, no doubt. And this thing seems to work perfectly. I've adjusted the brightness and the contrast and positioned it to get it right, get it centered on screen, and I'm really pleased with the result. It's a very impressive TV indeed. You know, it'd be interesting to see how it compares to its PVM brothers. I wouldn't be surprised if it runs exactly the same tube inside as a 29-inch PVM. I don't really know what else to say, but I did film another video just before the Sony here on a Philips TV, which you'll probably see after this Sony one goes up. That Philips is no slouch either. The Philips is smaller than the Sony here, and it seems a little bit sharper. If I had to criticise anything about the Sony here, I might say it's a little bit soft, but I'm really being heavy duty with the criticising there, so it's just such a minor thing anyway. This set is really good, really pleased with it. Haven't put up any grid lines to see how its geometry or convergence is, but just looking at it, I'm really impressed, especially given its age, and it works fine. It's like all these Sonys, they just seem to all keep going, and this one's got no wobble, shakes or anything, so I'm very impressed with the KV2900T. Actually, that just reminds me too, I nearly forgot, but if you do a search on Google for this model, it won't take you long to get to Sony's website, and they put a notice out in 2010, and I'll read you the notice. Notice and request to customers using CRT colour TVs. It has come to our attention that Sony CRT colour TVs manufactured before the end of 1990 use a particular internal component that may suffer age deterioration following very long-term use, resulting in overheating. This overheating may, in rare cases, cause the component to catch fire and the TV set to burn, and at times cause damage to surrounding property. In light of the above, we request you to stop using the Sony CRT colour TVs manufactured before the end of 1990 if you happen to own them. For the list of applicable models, please click here. And this 2900T is one of the applicable models, so I would assume from that statement that it is made before 1990. I think there are some others on the market here in Australia, like perhaps 2900D and just plain 2900. I have noticed that Sony does have some variations between the models, but I think the differences are quite insignificant. It's still basically essentially the same TV or monitor at the end of the day. So anyhow, you know, what can I say about commonality or rarity on these things that are like 25 years plus old? It's not impossible to get one of these, but it's not terribly common either. You know, there's not a hell of a lot of them around, so keep an eye on it, and I highly recommend it. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.